This is Old Electronics Fan, and this is part 2 for the Technics SLQ 300. And as I was getting into cleaning this, I realized that there was a better way to get to the controls, to get them clean. And I almost didn't record that part, but I decided it might be helpful to anyone else who might be working on this type or this particular turntable or one similar to it. So let me this over. And by the way, I did find out that the platter does come off. It fell off. I didn't know it. When you're dealing with oh yeah, I know what that is. Alright, when you're dealing with stuff like this, where you've got areas down inside where you can't really get to it and clean it, you can try to get in there with a small screwdriver, which I did. It didn't work. And I was also worried about when I was getting into stuff like this, because there's a circuit board behind there. I didn't want to get that wet and damaged. So it got smarter, or I decided to get smarter. Now, I didn't see that. Okay. Oh, it's under there. All right. I think. No? Well, that's interesting. Oh, it's under here. Okay. All right. Surprised me. I should not have done what I did, which was flip this upside down. Oh, that's not going to work either, is it? Well, all right. Well, I got myself a little bit lost there, trying to figure out how this went, and I will show you, just in case somebody else has a turntable like this one. Don't want to damage that. Alright, let me this up like this. There's a pivot hole, and then you've got this stop right here. I guess it's a stop. You'll notice that that is oval. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. You just alright. And the other part of this is, actually let me is the, well, the fingers have to be up. So if you want to put this back together properly, and it's got a little bit of a there's a little bit of springiness to it, so you may have to force it a little bit, but that looks pretty good. Alright, so anyway, so the other thing, the other important thing you must know is there are little ball bearings. Let me zip out a little bit. There's a ball bearing, and if you look at this, this will also get in trouble if you don't notice this. It's a little metal plate in here. In fact, let me show you. Well, it's got a little ear on one end and an ear on the other end. And it goes into here, and there's two little tabs that stick up. And for whatever reason, that little thing likes to drop out, at least on one end. So far, that's what it's been doing to me. And the ball bearing goes here. And what you have to do is you put this in place, put the ball bearing in, and then you jockey this back and forth to get this plate to drop in. And it worked on this one when I did that. We'll see how this one works. But before I do that, I want to get this one off. And I want to try to do a better job of cleaning this, because it didn't seem to. Huh. Alright. So, and make note. Oh, I guess you didn't see that. Alright. Let's get to this. Okay. I did not notice I was not aiming at the right place. Let me put this back together. Put this down there. Alright. That's where that lives. So you've got to make sure, if you go back, maybe it's easier to see. Oops. This end is bent up. This end goes down and in. So when you're taking this off, and it may, if you try to push, if you try to release it without sliding all the way down as far as it can go, it's going to fight you. So push down and then rotate off. Yeah. Dark key still. I cleaned this earlier and, well, I couldn't get in there really to get at what I needed to, and so I played around with it trying to get it to clean up. But then as I was playing with it, I thought, you know, I'm not sure if this is such a good idea or not, because I don't know where my cleaning solution is going to. I confess didn't really want, because I had this apart, and unfortunately, I didn't notice actually what I was going to be dealing with on these buttons. So when I got in there and I was trying to clean it, it was a pain. And I probably could have gotten away with the level of cleaning that I did, but like I said, I was a little bit worried about getting liquids where liquids don't belong, and so that's why I want to take it apart and check it. And I should have done that in the first place. Should have trying to get it done quicker, I guess, and that did not work. One of the problems with this is that it was left out somewhere where it was damp. Wherever this was stored, it was a little bit damp. And I don't know if there's anything I can do with that. Let's try to fix it. Let me see here. Focus, please. Alright. Now I can do it that way. We'll do it this way. You can see these little specks here, here. I'm going to try using my polish. Back up so you don't get dizzy doing things. I don't really have a lot of hopes for that fixing the problem, but what the heck. I've got it apart. Why not try? So this was a pain in the neck because of the way it was positioned in the opening where it sits. One side of this was such that if you got a little bit of soap in there, it was on the front edge, it would go down inside, and then when you tried to get it out, it didn't really want to come out. So then you wound up popping, pushing in and bringing it up, then wiping, pushing in. It was just a pain in the neck, and I really should have just thought, well, why don't I just take it apart and clean it that way? And, well, I'm glad I did finally. Hopefully it's a reminder for the next thing like this that I work on, to don't be lazy or trying to be in a hurry, because, well, it doesn't work. Plus, if I had gotten something wet down inside onto the boards. There's one board there. This one you don't have to worry about. Onto the board that was in there, and you didn't check on it, and you terminated something on the board, you'd have to fix the board, because I'm pretty sure you're not going to find parts for this. They just aren't available anymore. Alright, so it didn't fix it completely, but it helped. It makes it much shinier and much nicer, and I could not have done that. I would not have done that if it were still in the turntable. So, there's another thing to note. You notice there's a hole, maybe you do. Oh, okay, this pad, when this is in, you've got this finger that sticks over, and this pad comes down and traps it. And you've got this part which goes on the other side, and then there's this screw that traps that. If I had put this back in and then tried to put this or take this out, I might have been able to get it out, but it's easier to do this one first, do the other one second. That way you're not fighting with it. I haven't tried. Come on. Now let's see. All right. I'm going to leave that like it is for a moment. All right. So make sure you've got this piece inside, in between the leg and the outside, and make sure the ends are both where they belong. Drop this in. Come on. Let's go. There we are. Now, take the ball, a little ball bearing in there, and theoretically, I don't have a way of getting you in there. If I can maybe swing this around a little bit. I'm over here. I don't want to. Yeah, I don't really want to do that. That's not going to be fun, is it? Okay, there it is. Alright, so the ball bearing is there in that little slot, and it rides against that wall. Now theoretically, I should be able to drop this in, and there's little guide pins that you want to find. And now, there, okay. Yeah, it works. Alright, so I just pushed it into place, and the little ball bearing very obligingly dropped back into the spot where it's supposed to be. Alright, so now this, actually you could get that out and in. I was wondering. Forget what I just said. It was set up so that you could remove each control individually, which was kind of nice of them. I'm kind of impressed by how this thing is made. Yeah, there's a lot of plastic in it, but that's kind of the way it is. Alright, so there it is, all assembled. If you want to get this out, take that screw out, tilt it up, tilt it that way. That looks good. That works good. Making sure that things work. And now, see, now this is going to clean. Since I've gone this far, I don't think I do need to do that. I think it's good. When I saw it before, it seemed fine. Yeah, I think we're good. Okay, there's a little, oh, yeah, right. Didn't see me what I was doing. There's a little LED on the other side of this. Look down from the top, you can see it. But that's the light that lights up. That's the light that lights this up. I can probably see it. Yeah, there it is. You can see a little light hiding behind there, maybe. And, oops. Yeah. And, yeah, you can sort of see it. But this actually looks pretty good. I think the, yeah. So I've already gone through and cleaned up inside here. Everything looks good. Oh, this is really crazy. This is the mechanism. This is the mechanism that interoperates between the platter and those arms. And you've got an arm here, which interacts with the outer one, and then you've got this one, which actually, this is the one that shoves, I'll show you. Where are you? Okay. I also worked on this without of the unit. It's definitely a lot easier to polish it, so it looks a lot better. But if you go on the underside of this, you see this arm, and this arm hits this, and if you're up here, and if you have that, you got that pin right there, push down on it, and the other arm pops up. And when the other arm pops up, these fingers appear, and apparently that responds to whether this is down or not. Yeah, huh? I don't know exactly how the interaction, because it's hidden away when it's running. But that's the basic idea. It's really a clever thing. Well, while I had this out, come on, I put a little bit of oil in this bushing, and it seems pretty good now. The grease had gotten a little bit gummy in there, so just a little tiny bit of oil I put in there, and that solved that. So it seems to be working good. And you can see, maybe you can see those two fingers popping up, and that one right there pops up, and that's how it finds out what size record you've got in there. And if you don't have any record in it at all, you notice the arm didn't try to come over onto the platter. Very clever engineering. I think I mentioned that previously, but that's how that works, how that happens. Which also means, as I mentioned once before, I'm going to repeat myself, is that you've got to make sure the slots are in the right place. So, I haven't got this cleaned up yet, but this is looking a lot better, except for fingerprints I just put on it. Yeah, it definitely made a big difference. Unfortunately, the aluminum is pitted, and there really isn't much you can do about it. And if somebody was really nuts, I'm not even going to mention it, because that would just be crazy. Basically, it is what it is. If you, well, am I thinking? What am I thinking? This, I believe, is chrome plated, although I'm not quite sure. It could be just polished aluminum. It might be. When I was polishing with the polishing material, the cloth became really black very quickly. So I guess that's probably just polished aluminum. I wouldn't recommend doing more than that mild polish on that. Try to get it looking better. So I don't think you're going to get it much better, and I don't think it's going to be good if you try to go crazy and try to improve it, because, well, bring up some grease that I got spread around. Although chances are you're not going to see it most of the time. Most people don't have the rubber mat off. But one thing I did notice is that the 45 adapter is not here. So I was kind of thinking about what I could do about replacing that, because it belongs here. And I do happen to have 45s around, and I can find out what size hole that is. So I have a plan. Let me see here, how much does that stick up? Okay. In the right place. Yeah, okay. I have a plan. What I might do, I've got some hardwood kicking around, just some scrap stuff. So what I might do is drill a hole for this, and I know someone with a lathe, wood lathe, and I can cut this a little bit larger than the hole I need it to be in the 45 disc, and then use the lathe to bring it down where I want it. It's probably quick and easy, and it's cheap. It's not going to cost me anything. Maybe it's going a little bit over the top, but I've got the resources, so I might as well do that. Let's see, what I want to do, I guess, is let me think. What am I going to do? Oh, I keep getting fingerprints on my freshly polished aluminum. Very bad. This needs to be cleaned a little bit more. I've got a brush that I just put away that I need, and I'll just brush this, clean it, and I should be done with that part. I'm waiting for the cartridge to come. Should be here shortly, a couple days anyway. This did get loose on me. I try to be so careful about that. And then probably what I should do in the future is anytime I have anytime I'm working on one of these, I should pull the needle out so that I don't run this risk. I don't know. I don't know what happens. I do know that my efforts to fix the cartridge were, well, the needle rather, were not ideal. Yeah. I think that's as good as it's going to get. So, yeah. But I wanted to show you that by taking these out, they look a whole lot nicer than my attempts to clean them while they were still in here. And it's not a horrible amount of work. I mean, I already had the bottom off. I should have just gone ahead and done that. Live and learn. So, yeah. So the only thing I haven't really cleaned is the outer rim of this. I got the top. Got that cleaned. Everything looks a whole lot better. Even the case on this Shure cartridge is, unfortunately, oh, you can get some of the corrosion off. Yeah. Okay. I tried, I didn't really want to put polish on it, but maybe that's what I want to do. By scratching it with my fingernail, it did clean up a bit. Now maybe I'll just, I don't want to do it on top because you can very easily, printed material, there's a gauge back here that tells you what the counterweight is set to. Don't clean that. It'll erase the print on there very quickly. I don't want to damage this, but I might be able to get the sides and the front cleaned up. I'm going to try that. Yeah. So that would be nice to make it look a little bit nicer. I'm going to come back when I'm finished with this, and then we can play something on it with a brand new needle. Hopefully the right thing shows up. I've had problems on occasion with getting the wrong parts. I'm sure we all have. So I was trying to get more memory for an older laptop that I've got, and unfortunately, even though they said the memory fit my laptop, it wasn't even close. It was the wrong type altogether. And then when I started looking for, I finally figured out what the right type was, and discovered that the prices for that memory, for that laptop, for I think 8 gigs of RAM, was, oh, what was it? Depends on whether you bought it as, actually you may only be able to buy it, it may only be available, I think you have to buy 2 4 gig cards, and you're talking maybe close to $70 for that. I don't think that old laptop I've got is worth that. So I decided, well, we're going to make do without it. So I have no idea why the laptop is an i5. It's probably, let me think, maybe it's 10 years old. It's not exactly what you call vintage equipment, but the memory for that is insane. So I expected maybe $25 for 8 gigs of RAM. Yeah, that was a surprise. Anyway, I am yammering. Let's see. I think that's it. This is definitely looking a lot better. When I have it all together, and it's safer for me to tilt this, I will show you how it came out. Now that I know that this, oh, yeah. I gotta put the bottom back on. Okay, fine. So we will, or not. Really? Well, it's decided that it doesn't want to come off now. There it goes. Boy, that's tight. I must have set it on there a little too firmly. Alright, I'm back, but not for the reason you might think. As I was about to put the cover on, I discovered this little spring. So as I'm poking around trying to figure out what on earth that goes to, because I didn't see it come out, it goes to this. There's a little, yeah, right. There's a little, let's see. There's a little boss there with a pin in the middle of it. You put this with the fat side up. And then you can put this back on. That I found out earlier that that this would come out all by its lonesome. Yes, that's more better. Yeah, course, the reason for that spring is to keep that button up. Without that spring, this thing would be constantly trying to eject. That would not be good. Yeah, that's more better. So it goes right in there. If you forget it, you won't be happy. So, learn from my mistake. Well, fortunately, I found that spring before I put the bottom on. I think I said that. I'm repeating myself. Alright. Okay. I think what I'll need to do, what I'm going to do, well, actually I'll put the bottom on it, but I won't put screws in it. Actually, maybe I should. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going to put it together. I'm going to be brave. Or insane. One of the two. Because if it weren't for the fact that the platter could just fall out when I flip it upside down again to put these in, if it weren't for that, I would test it first. But here was my dilemma. I was going to either flip it right side up without the cover in place, throw the platter on, test it, take the platter off, flip it back over, and put these screws in. Or I'm going to do what I'm doing. I'm going to put it all together, believing that I will indeed be able to call it done because it's going to work. So this way I put it together, flip it right side up, put the platter on, and now it's not exactly, it's not as though it is a horrible job to take the bottom off, if it comes to that. Alright, so there it is. No, you don't. There it goes. Alright, so here's what we are going to do. Put the power cord back in. Somewhere it is. Stay. Alright. Now, well, I'm going to throw this on there wrong. See what that does. Yep, there it goes. Alright, so that works. Let's go all the way in. That works. Okay, do that. Let's do, so there's 45, or 33 rather. Yep, okay. Yep. That's cute. That looks a whole lot better than it did when I got it. Okay. Let's see. Greasy stuff on here. How do I do that? Yeah, that's not nice. I'm trying to think. Let's just put okay, there you are. Trying to think. Do I want to... I have a needle. Throw that on there. I'm going to... And now I want to make sure that it does behave. That is working. Oh, repeat. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so that stopped. So let's do this. I knew there's something else I wanted to check, and it's the repeat. Okay, there's that. Now theoretically it should just go back to the record. And it does. Okay. Everything's working. Okay, so now it is done. Some minor cleaning to be done. A new needle. And I'll do a test run of it. And, oh, I do have one other thing I got to do. I bought some epoxy to try to fix this crack in the top. My goal is to try to feed some glue, at least in the middle part of this crack, feed as much glue as I can into this, or as far as I can along each end of this and through the middle. And then once this has hardened sufficiently, I'm going to try to clean this up with a little bit of plastic polish. Definitely not in great shape. Somebody put something hot on the top of this multiple times, it would seem. Yeah. I know they make, what are they? They're called, well, you can get buffing pads that you can mount them to your drill, and you get, there are sticks of different grades of polish that you can use, and then you can use that to polish plastic, metal, whatever, depending on what you're trying to polish. And I've thought about trying that on this. Maybe start here in the back where it's, or over here where the damage has already been done, and see if I can get it to polish up. So I've got another turntable I'd like to polish up some more, but haven't had much luck with that. Well, I've improved it by hand, but as you know, it's a lot of work. So all right, so this thing's very close to done. It really didn't need a whole lot of work. And if I hadn't, again, I don't know if I bent the needle or if the needle was bent. I don't really know. But at this point, it doesn't matter. I've got another one coming, and hopefully that's the end of that story. All right. I'm always looking for ways, for new ways to do things, maybe easier ways, whatever. And I was looking online, and they suggested, well, somebody suggested these products, the Novus for scratch remover, and they also showed using polishing discs to use with something like this. And so I went looking for the ones they were showing, and I didn't see the particular ones that they recommended, but I found this set. Come on, where's my other disc? I've got 3. Where'd the third one go? Where'd you go? Hello? There it is. Alright. These are nice soft edged polishing discs. There's one there, and then these two. and you've got a little collar that you can screw the pad onto, and then it just clicks into that. Now this set also came with these polishing materials in it's like crayon form. This is what they call it, a 7-piece buffing set. They make every piece count. Three of these polishing agents, 3 of these buffers, and the mounting, the metal mounting pieces. They count all of them. Ha! Make it sound better, I guess. 7 parts. Anyway, so I just put this together, and there's 2 parts to this. Fine scratch remover, and then there is clean and shine. And I just barely use this. I put this up here to keep from spraying everything with spatter from this. I've run into that before. Here's the spot. There's where my hand is behind it, and there it is. I just barely polished this. I didn't spend a lot of time. I just ran it for a minute, and all of a sudden I can see right through it. Now, it didn't get rid of all the scratches, but it really, it's a huge difference for just a few seconds. So I'm going to, and then I have epoxied this back together. So now, when you push on it, it's not moving like it did before. I didn't get that pushed all back together the way I wanted to, but oh well. Yeah. Oh, I thought it snapped all back together, back into its nice level position. It did not. But it's not going anywhere now, so I can't fix that. Alright, so my goal then is to finish this and then come back and show it to you. Wow. Just for the fun of it, what did I do with, oh, behind here. There we go. Just out of curiosity, I don't remember if I washed this side of the plastic or not. Oh yeah, it was dirty. Alright, well, let's just okay, that makes a difference too. Just washing it makes a big difference. So, whoops. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. So that gives us a better picture of how it did, and it really did. It still makes a difference, but I mean, you can see how badly scratched that still is. The rest of it, so it's not quite as good as I thought initially as far as clarity, but at the same time, well. Now that I've actually cleaned it off, I got this edge right here is bad. So what I'm going to do, oh, what the heck, why not? I may need to get more of this. A lot more. Oops. Okay. Okay, what I might want to do is go at it this way, because the scratches are going that way. So Yeah, I may have to look for something bigger. Or I could use those. I can use this polishing material to see if that works better. And it'll probably last longer than that. Yeah, I don't know if you can see, but it definitely made a difference on the leading edge. That was pretty bad. I'm actually going to try it. I'm going to. I think I'm going to. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn you off. I'm going to go with the smaller disc, and I'm going to use one of these rubbing compounds and see how that works. And I may wind up using one of these two as a finisher, probably the fine finish one, depending on how this comes out. But what this does mean to me, though, is that I can use something like this without damaging the plastic, as long as I'm careful. So anyway, right. Well, I thought this was going to be easier than it turned out to be, but it was probably just wishful thinking on my part. So what did I do? Well, I started off using this, and it worked pretty good. Then I switched to a larger buffing wheel, and I used this compound that you spin the drill up, rub the material into it, and then go on to this. And this did help on some of the more severe stuff. So there's that. I used this, and it actually works somewhat. In some of the really bad spots, I use this. Now this is called Brasso for brass and other metals. This is a coarser polishing compound, and if you use this, I would not use a polishing wheel. I would use a cloth, and I would polish it that way. And when you get done, you won't have a nice shiny plastic surface. It will be a bit cloudy. So then I experimented with Scratch Doctor and then plastic polish. I also played with, where is it? This one. Polish Clean and Shine. This might help shine it up a little bit. It's very thin. It will not do any polishing to speak of. I don't know what it exactly does do. Just curious. It's very thin stuff. So I'm not sure if it just puts a protective coating on here or what. Let's see. Well, it does seem to bring up the shine a little bit. Yeah, it might. So, so that's something you might want to use. But so once I used the Brasso, then I went with either this one, which does a pretty good job. This seems to give you the smoothest finish. But I went from Brasso to this, then I finished off with that. So it took me a fair amount of time. I didn't look at the clock. I don't know. All the video might tell me, although it's been broken up. Actually, it won't tell me. So this is the end result, which you saw what it was like before, and it looks a whole lot better. The only way to make this better than it is, I think, and this is an idea that I have not tried, would be to buy, or if you still have if you have a headlight polishing kit, some of them come with 2000 grit sandpaper, and some of them have a spray that you use, or you can do wet sanding. So if you really wanted to go berserk, and you really want this to get to even better shape than it is, then you might want to, you'd have to sand it all down, and I think there may be 2 sanding pads. You sand it down with one, sand it down with the other, and then they've got polishing compounds or something, kind of along the same lines as, of what I was doing, because I started, like, when I started getting into the brass cell, that produces a finish similar to the 6000 grit, I think, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've used 6000 grit on anything. So I also went inside and polished it up with the plastic polish mothers here. So one of the things I did like this for was when you when I started really trying to dig in there and get rid of some of the heavy-duty scratches. It didn't get rid of them entirely. Now, the other thing you could do is, if you didn't want to buy a glass or a headlamp cleaning kit, again, while I'm talking, I'll play around with this a little bit more. Buy 2000 grit water-dry sandpaper and polish it out with that, but then you'd have to really get into polishing, with something like this, one of these two. And I did a lot of this by hand. What was that? I don't know. Oh, there it is, I think. I'm just playing with this to see if I can make it shine more. Yeah, I think it might help a little bit. So, I mean, it looks pretty good, really. There was some minor cloudiness over in this corner, and it seemed to help that a little bit. If I were to do this again, I don't know. I mean, this works, but using this, like I said, as a coarser polish by hand, I wouldn't recommend doing it any other way. Well, I haven't tried it. If someone wants to experiment and see how that works for them, I'm not going to tell you not to. Oh, it's everywhere. So my conclusion is, having that polishing wheel, and I actually went, after I did it with this, I did go back in some areas with this, and I was going this way and then this way, trying to even things out. I think I didn't do this with the idea in mind of doing a scientific test. Yes, of course, going to bang and make noise while I'm trying to talk. Cut it out. I was just simply trying to see what I could come up with to make this thing look decent again. And I think for a final coat, this stuff does work. It does something. It gives it a nicer sheen. Oh, this is not dry. Okay. So, yeah, I think when I got all done, you couldn't see it on the camera, but there's spots on here that look a little bit foggy, and using this seemed to help that. Looks like inside could use some of that too. But if I don't do anything else with this, I think that's pretty good. I mean, there are scratches, and really the only way to get rid of those would be to sand down below the scratches. I would not go crazy with a high grit sandpaper. You will regret it. Guaranteed. Using a sandpaper that you can use wet, I strongly recommend that. Maybe not the inside of this since I'm playing around. Wet sanding is probably safer. Than dry sanding. The water provides a little bit of lubrication, and the end result is a little bit finer. So I would strongly recommend that you don't dry sand, but again, that's up to you. But what I would really strongly suggest is test someplace where if it doesn't turn out the way you want it to, you won't be too unhappy, because you can, well, let's just say I've done things that in the end I wish I hadn't done, especially in the instance where I didn't really test first. So I strongly recommend that. I am not telling you that what I'm suggesting is the way to go. I'm just suggesting that it's something you could try. I mean, the thing that runs through my mind is that the the headlight polishing kits do a nice job of going from a kind of a cloudy lens after you get done with your wet sanding to finally getting something that looks decent. And they do that with polishing compounds, if I remember right. It's been a while, but I believe that's what they do. And come on, I think yeah, I think it came out good. I think I'm happier with that. Certainly looks a lot better than it did. Oh yeah. I think that this stuff, it's not a huge difference using this stuff, but I think there is a difference, and especially if you do have spots where well, it looks kind of shiny, and at the same time it has a little bit of a cloudiness to it. So I think that's good for removing that. You can try it, see what you think. Would I buy these again? I'm not sure. I think I probably still have more to learn about how to use this, but I think this helped me a lot. And there's another finer compound stick that you can use to try to finish it off, and I didn't do that. I just went from this to all of these. So anyway, yeah, I think I'm pretty happy. I think this would be pretty good. Makes me wonder if I should do my turntable and make it look like this. Problem with that is my turntable is sitting right here by my workbench, and well, sometimes it winds up being extra storage if I'm not using it. I'm doing work on something. I try to be careful about putting things on it, but you know, yeah, it's oh yeah, it becomes a shelf, unfortunately. And then I have to clean it all off so I can use it. Sometimes a little bit of pain. So sometimes it means I go to my other quicker changer, which is across the room. But that that might, that time, yeah, that seems easier to do sometimes to me. I just throw a couple records on there and let it rip. Alright, so this was kind of an interesting non-scientific experiment. I'm definitely happy with how how my crack repair came out. So one of the things, I didn't show that, but one of the things that you want to do is, one of the things I'm having trouble talking today. One of the things that you want to do, as I mentioned, I pushed one side up higher than the other. I went from the back of it, coated it, and then keep seeing little speckles. Those are, anyway, weird. Okay. I get some dents in there. So once as I was putting the epoxy on, I used my little tiny paddle that I made. So I try to control it. But the minute I went past an area, I would wipe excess off, and I did that all the way down. And then once I pushed the two edges back together, and then I went down through and wiped it again. And then as a final step, I wet a piece of cloth lightly and then wipe down through to try to clean away any excess epoxy. If you wait until the epoxy is cured and you try to do this after the fact, you won't like it, I guarantee it. So, yeah, so I mean, putting epoxy on that fix the break. It no longer gives. But the crack is going to be there. It's not going away. No way around that. So, but repairing that with epoxy means that this won't keep flexing. Hopefully, it won't crack any further. At least this part won't be putting stress on the ends. And you can kind of see where, well, I can. There's a spot right about here where you can see that dark area? That's where I was not able to get the glue in. It's a lot clearer where the glue was able to get in there. And it's the same way on both ends of that crack. So I was not able to get all the way down. And there's really no way to get all the way down to the end of the crack, but securing the middle of it hopefully will prevent it from getting worse. And like I said, it doesn't give anymore. I couldn't move one edge against the other anymore. So anyway, so I think that's all I needed to show you on this part. I'm still waiting for my cartridge, so when I do get that, I'm going to put this all together, see what it looks like, and then wrap it up there. Okay, well, this is how it looks. I am truly amazed at how that came out. And I don't know if this Plastic Clean and Shine is what helped. I went through what I did. I'm not going to rehash that, but as you know, I had terminated my needle. Tried to fix it. Of course, the needle broke. It wasn't too much of a surprise. There's not much to these. So, yeah, it was terminated. I don't know if I was the culprit, but what I think I will be doing in the future is that if I have something where I have a removable needle, I will remove it. If I don't, I will put something around the head to protect it, to keep it from getting damaged. I mean, that needle wasn't horribly expensive, but I'd hate to kind of terminate the project if it turned out that it was a particular needle was very pricey. So this was I got this VM Audio Enthusiast, Voice of Music is what they are, and they're very quick. It wasn't that much more than the needle that I tried. Well, actually, I didn't mention this. I tried a needle from someplace else, and less expensive sometimes equals something that doesn't work. So I got on there. I just cleaned this. I'll have to finish cleaning it again. The last bit of fingerprints and whatnot off. But anyway, but this, if you well, for you, it was not that long ago that you saw how this started out. So I'm going to throw on here a record. Let's see. This is Jim Croce. For those of you who know who he is, he sadly passed away in a car accident, and or no, airplane crash. I'm sorry. And I happen to like his music. It was rather sad that that happened. Let's see, what have I got on here that I might like? Oh yeah. Needle. I won't be able to play much. Which one do I want? Let's try number 5. Okay. So that sounds good. So anyway, so it's fixed. The plastic cover is amazing. I'm truly amazed. And like I said, I don't know. Well, let me back up. It got pretty much to this condition using the other polishes, and I showed you that before. But I do believe that this plastic Clean and Shine added just a little bit more clarity to the plastic, and it's something I'm going to try again in the future, because if this is the result of doing that, well, it problem with plastic is it's so staticky. Anyway, so this is done. Everything's working. You can tell from the sound that I don't have any trouble with hum. I couldn't crank this up a lot because then it would be too loud on the recording. But I've had this up a fairly high volume, and you don't even, there's no hint of hum. There's nothing that is objectionable. This thing works perfectly. So I'm wrapping it up at this point, and really appreciate you watching, and hope that you like and subscribe if you haven't, and if you did enjoy this, and hopefully you'll join me again